I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Thanks. Does anyone have any special intentions on the council? Councilman Segura?
Just like to, again, put in our prayers a longtime City of Kenner employee who passed away a week ago, Miss Connie Lee. So she worked very hard for many, many years for this city, and she's now in her better place, so we want to keep her in our prayers. Thank you.
Councilman Wilmont?
Thank you, Madam President. I ask that you keep Dr. Ken Ward. He's the House chaplain for the state legislature. We prayed for him before, probably 2 meetings back, and I just think it's very important that we still keep him in our prayers because he's still having issues with his health. So thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Zahn?
Yes, I'd ask you to keep in your thoughts and prayers Emily Becknell. She's the wife of Bill Becknell, longtime attorney, friend of the city of Kenner, longtime resident of the city of Kenner. She's ill in Oshna Hospital. We just met with her daughter the other day. She was expressing some of the problems, and it's gotten a little bit worse over the last few days. So please, Miss Emily Becknell, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Associate Pastor Andrew Moscow from the Vineyard Church to approach and please lead us in the prayer.
Let's pray together. Father, we thank you for who you are, for all that you do, the things seen and unseen, Lord. For the sick in our city, we ask for healing. For the grieving in our city, we ask for your peace and your presence. And Lord, for all the matters that we attend to, the big things and the small things, the things that we see and the things that we don't see, we ask for wisdom, Lord. You're the God that gives wisdom, so I ask that we would use wisdom, that we would listen, that we would understand, and that collectively we would come to a place of seeing your kingdom come in this city. We ask these things in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Councilman Wilmont, can you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chairman, you have a quorum this morning. Councilmember Carroll is absent. Madam President, I've received a request this evening to suspend the council rules to remove item 3A, application number 2178-19, Kenner United Incorporated, to hold a public gathering on September 2nd, 2019, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. for the purpose of a cleanup Kenner Day at Veterans Park, Kenner, Louisiana, from the consent agenda and place it under item 14, items removed from the consent agenda. I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Hayes, to amend the agenda to remove item 3A and place it under item 14. Council members, if you could please vote. Motion passes 5-1. Councilmember Wilmont opposed. Councilmember Carroll is absent. Madam President, I've also received a request to take item 14A, which is application number 2178-19, Kenner United Incorporated, to hold a public gathering on September 28, 2019, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. for the purpose of a cleanup Kenner Day at Veterans Park, Kenner, Louisiana, at the beginning of the meeting. I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Hayes, to take item 14A at the beginning of the meeting. Council members, please vote. I have a motion that passes 6-1. Councilmember Carroll is absent. At this time, we will take item 14, items removed from the consent agenda. Item 14A, application number 2178-19, Kenner United Incorporated, to hold a public gathering on September 28, 2019, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. for the purpose of a cleanup Kenner Day at Veterans Park, Kenner, Louisiana, at the beginning, in Kenner, Louisiana. Have a motion by Councilmember Segura, seconded by Councilmember Hayes for discussion.
Councilmember Segura.
This is the third time that we brought this up, and we had to defer it to other meetings for discussion and information that we were trying to receive. I see Mr. Benetti in the audience, so I presume you're here to speak and answer questions that we have, or I have, on this topic? Well, I'll ask the question. If you don't want to answer because you don't think it's germane, then that'll be your choice.
Yeah, Mr. Benetti, please approach so we can hear, and please state your name and address for the record.
Walt Benetti, 7 Bistineau Court in Kenner.
Thank you.
Mr. Benetti,
Should I make a statement or should I wait for questions?
I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
As noted on your social media page, it was March 21st of 2018 that you founded Kenner United. Is that correct?
Approximately, yes.
Okay. And it also, in that notification, it said that the 501(c) charitable organization was pending.
Yes, it was pending at that time when that post was made.
Okay, so you do now have a...
We've had it for well over a year, Councilman.
Thank you. With that, the 501(c) designation has certain limitations on what the organization can do.
Absolutely, and I've stated that here before you at prior meetings.
Okay. So with that, it also, in the process to set up 501(c)s under the IRS and the rules that they allow and disallow, things are needed to be a bona fide organization, meaning I see you did incorporate, so you filed articles of incorporation with the Secretary of State?
Yes, and we're in good standing with the Secretary of State.
Thank you. Did you also file bylaws with the Secretary of State?
I would assume we did if that was required.
Okay. In those bylaws, what is the nature and setup of the organization?
Well, Kenner United was founded in early 2018 as a group of individual citizens who wanted to form a group that was non-political to perform and organize community volunteers to make an impact positively on the quality of life in Kenner. If you go, as you've gone to our Facebook page, you will see that under the tab Our Story, which was posted on Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. I have copies if Councilman Carroll would like to distribute them to the council. I'd just like to read a couple. I'd like to read a couple of excerpts, and you can read the entire thing. It says, Kenner United is a group of individuals, and there's a typo there, I apologize for that, formed to coordinate and empower other individuals to improve the quality of life in Kenner. We are apolitical. Our only goal is to unite individuals toward the common goal of making Kenner a great place to live. Further down, it says, Kenner United is a nonprofit Louisiana corporation and a 501(c)(3) charitable organization. Your donation or event sponsorship is 100% tax deductible, and 100% of funds received from grants, donations, and event sponsorships/tickets go toward Kenner community improvement projects and project expenses. The last line says, Kenner United is not affiliated with the City of Kenner government or any governmental entity. Like I said, this was posted on April 10th, 2018.
Yes, thank you. I did see that, and I have a copy, but thank you for a second copy. So with that in line, as you say, the purpose of the group to have this common goal of making Kenner a great place to live is, I've lived in Kenner for almost 67 years now, and it's always been a great place to live, so appreciate anything that
We'd
you
like
can
to
do
improve it.
make it better, but okay. Now, with the activities, you say the sprucing up of parks, playgrounds, picking up trash in the city of Kenner. Are you referring to trash in the common public right-of-way or on private properties?
On city parks and on medians.
So that's saying that the city and the administration doesn't do a worthy job of cleaning up the medians and
That's
parks?
not the inference, but as you know, if you participated in past cleanup days, and I know I saw you at the first one, at least the registration. I don't know if you went out and picked up trash like other council members did. There is always room for improvement. There was always trash out there. And we try to pick that up. Councilman Wilmot attended the last 2 cleanup Kenner days, and he noted to me that he and his wife picked up bags of trash, despite the fact that Kenner is basically a clean city. And the city of Kenner government does a great job keeping it clean. But there's always areas that need improvement.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you. I was just questioning is that's the intent, because information that I've received also talks about private property entries where entry went on private properties, and I'm concerned.
That was not authorized by us, and that is listed in the sign-up sheet that people fill out that limits them from suing the city of Kenner or suing Kenner United if they are injured, but it also states that they should not go on private property.
Okay. And I'm just curious because I just also noticed in your same social media a request by an individual that you do go on a private property and pick up trash in this upcoming trash pickup.
And what was my response?
I didn't see any.
Oh, okay. Well, I will look at that. I'm sure I made a response. I will respond to everyone.
All right. With the formation of a 501(c), as outlined in the IRS rules, it's a entity of an organization with a board of directors, officers, and a mission. Do you have a board of directors?
We have and we had, yes.
Okay. Do you have those names? Because when I go to the Secretary of State's website, all I see is your name as the registered agent and the 3 officers.
At the time we filed that, yes, I was the only officer, and that's all that is required by Louisiana state government and by the IRS.
When you filed in March of 18?
No, when I filed our annual report this year. When I filed in 2018, we had 4 officers.
So you lost those 4 officers?
Yes, they've moved on. They've done. They have lives. They've done other things. We're a completely volunteer organization. So any time that we consume of theirs is time away from their families, their jobs, their loved ones, their friends, their hobbies.
Okay, but so as your latest filing indicates, you and you alone are the organization?
At the time that that was filed, that is correct.
At what time?
Depending on what.
If you initially filed in March of 18, so I presume somewhere in March of 19, you would have updated this.
I don't know the exact date, but it's on the Secretary of State's website when it was updated and when we are now in good standing.
Last report filed was on June 25th of 19.
Well, there you go. You have your answer.
Oh, I got it, but I'm asking you to
I don't have the
expound on it,
I don't
but
have the
okay,
form in front of
okay,
me, so I
got
don't
you.
remember the
So,
exact date.
As of June 25th of this year, you and you alone consist this organization.
As an officer, yes.
You're all 3 officers?
At that time, yes.
Okay, so now we're in September. You have additional new officers?
Yes.
Would you provide those names?
No.
Why not?
Why should I? Do you
a public
scrutinize?
record.
You scrutinize any other group that comes before you?
We have. We do.
I don't feel that that is germane to our public gathering permit, which you have
It is
approved in the
because
past.
you are requesting us to grant an organization a permit to use city facilities, and we're not sure what organization it represents, because you
Council-
and you alone are representing this organization.
Council member, you attended at least our first Cleanup Canada Day. You know there were multiple volunteers out there
I saw
dispersed
about
throughout
40.
the city.
Somewhere between 40 and 50, I did see.
Oh, I think there was more than that.
Well,
We-
okay,
we-
we'll
we-
agree to disagree,
We
but that's
print
okay.
T-shirts, so I know how many T-shirts were left over after the event.
Okay, but it's still, if you
And
updated your
regardless
report,
of that fact, if there are 40 or 50, how is that germane to anything?
because we have a responsibility to uphold what we're doing with our properties. And if we're having an entity that we're, personally me, I'm not sure what this entity is, how do I grant them use of our property?
You were sure enough to come to the first Cleanup Canada Day and see the volunteers that were there. And other council members have participated in both cleanup days.
And as you said,
well as
life
the mayor.
carries on and moves on. So in your case, it seems to be disingenuous to say that you're growing when you're smaller because you don't even have a board of directors anymore.
I did not say we were
You
growing.
are refusing to give me the names of them, so how do I know that they
Well,
actually exist?
considering the fact that I am under a personal attack by you, I don't feel that they should be under a personal attack either.
How do you feel asking you a question in a public body is a personal attack?
As I said, I've attended numerous council meetings over the last 15 years or so. I have not seen any group that has applied for a public gathering permit that has been scrutinized.
Because they provide that information to us when we ask. This is the third meeting that we haven't seen you to ask, so you finally showed up, so we're asking.
Since the council approved unanimously our last two public gathering requests and our last two
And the-
temporary sign requests, I did not feel I needed to be here a month ago. I was stunned when I was texted by a member of the audience that the mayor said there was a complaint about my personal Facebook page profile picture, which included the logo for Kenner United. I was similarly stunned. I texted the mayor during the meeting, the first time I have ever done that, by the way. And I said, "What is this?" I immediately changed my profile picture because I did not want that to become an issue or be an issue. The mayor said it was simply a one-meeting deferral. Since I took the photo down and changed it, it shouldn't be an issue. I was shocked when you made it an issue at the last meeting, and you said you had questions. You had 2 weeks between the first meeting and the second meeting, and now another 2 weeks, so a full month, to ask me any questions, or call me, or text me, or invite me to eat a donut with you and sit down and talk about your questions. But now you want to get me in front of this body to take up valuable council time to discuss my organization. And I don't understand that.
Councilman Segur, if you could wrap it up, there's a couple of other councilmen that
I'll
like to
wrap
speak.
it up as soon as I finish. Thank you. The purpose of asking questions is to get answers, and if I don't have anybody to ask those questions to except now, that is the best place, because I have been in positions of asking questions outside of the public body, and then those words were turned around and misaligned to what the conversation. So holding it here as a public body in full view is transparency, seems to always be the best way to get the
And
answer.
Councilman, after the mayor made his issue a month ago, you could have sent me an email or called me and said, "Could you appear at the next council meeting?" And I certainly would have.
All
I
right.
did not think this would be or should be an issue for the council.
Well, let me continue now, because my next question goes into the organization. As it's set up by the IRS, you shall not be a political activity organization.
Absolutely, and we're
Yet,
not.
throughout the whole month of August, and here is copies of various days of August where you make political statements on your site, and you have the Kenner United logo on that site.
Not on my site, on my personal Facebook page. Yes, I use the Kenner United logo as my profile picture. Absolutely. I don't deny that. I've done that for over a year and a half to draw attention and promote the group. People on Facebook do that all the time, Councilman, to support various causes, whether it's Alzheimer's awareness, whether it's the Cancer Society, whether it's hurricane relief. They do that, and their groups are not called into question because of someone else's personal Facebook post. In the past year or so, I've changed my profile picture a couple of times. I have a relative that has Down syndrome. So I changed my profile picture to support Down syndrome awareness and support her and her family. My father died of bone cancer, so I posted the American Cancer Society logo to support Cancer Awareness Month.
And all that sounds fine, Mr. Benetti, except that that's not political, supporting the bone cancer group.
No, but my posts are, and that's what you're calling
These are
into.
political statements
That's
by
what
you.
you're calling into
And
question.
These are all political statements on your site with the Kenner United
On my
logo.
Facebook page, not my site.
Well,
Separately.
whatever you want to call it. Let's
Kenner United Facebook page has no political statements on
This
it.
sign right here advocating your cleanup has a KennerUnited.com. Is that your website?
It was, yes.
It was, because it don't exist no more.
Right, we took it down. We were not getting any traffic, and our events were infrequent, yes.
Okay. So again, the organization seems to be imploding down to one, you. Again, this is you right here in a political essay over a whole month with your Kenner United nonprofit organization logo by it, which is not allowed by IRS rules for a nonprofit.
That is completely false.
Why? They allow political activity?
No, the Kenner United Facebook page and the group is apolitical. My use of the Kenner United logo on my personal Facebook page does not impact our 501c3 status, just as the American Cancer Society is not
IRS will
impacted.
make that determination.
Yes, they will, and not you.
And I agree. I will send them this information, and they will make a
Well,
determination.
make sure you go back, because it was more than the last month. I've been making political statements for years.
We're aware of
Councilman
that.
Segura, can you please limit your questions to what's pertaining to the public gathering
Trying to.
permit?
He drifts away, and I have to respond.
I'm trying to answer your questions, Councilman, even though I don't feel I'm required to.
Okay, well, the requirement is to answer a question relative to this. Please explain what proceeds out of this fundraiser, or whatever you want to call it, where do they go and what are they used for?
As I said on our story, and as I've said on our sponsor forms, 100% of every grant and sponsorship that we receive goes to program expenses and event expenses. No one within Kenner United is compensated in any way. We have no staff. We are completely volunteers. We aren't even compensated for our expenses. In fact, the first two cleanup Kenner days, and this one as well, have cost me money. Because, as you know, because you've held events in the past, there always has to be seed money. And I provided that seed money. If you would have done your homework, or the mayor or anyone on the council, you would know that the pavilion rental that we paid for and rented in July was paid for with a personal check by me. The public gathering permit was paid for with a personal check by me. The insurance that we were required by the city of Kenner to provide, even though our volunteers sign off on any liability for the city or for us, was paid for with a personal debit card by me. All of that was prepaid expenses. Obviously, sponsor donations come in afterwards. Some come in after the event. Sometimes we go over budget. We think we're going to get so many checks, they don't come in. And then, in that case, I've had to make up money. I don't make any money off Kenner United. No one does. Kenner United and our cleanup days have cost me money. But I have done that because I thought they were worthwhile events that brought the people of Kenner together.
All right, now getting back to your income and expenses, as you just mentioned, the IRS rules also state that these financial statements are to be available for public view. Are you prepared to provide us with those copies of those income?
Since you've researched the IRS rules, you know that you can submit a letter and we can redact some information like my social security number and our officer's social security numbers and provide you with a copy of that. Absolutely. All of our expenses, We print volunteer T-shirts, several hundred of them that cost between $6.50 and $8 a piece, depending upon the size. We buy yard signs. You've run political campaigns, you know what yard signs cost. For our T-shirts, we use a Kenner vendor, so we may pay a little bit more than if we went online outside of the city of Kenner. We have other expenses that are involved in the event. All of our sponsorship money goes towards that. Like I said, no one is compensated in any way and never has been.
Well, that's why I'm asking for you to provide a copy of those income and
You can
expense
submit
statements.
a letter, which is the standard for the IRS, and I will redact the information and get you a copy.
Thank you. How soon can that be done once I give you the letter?
I have no idea. I don't know when I'm going to receive it. I don't know if I will receive
That
it.
wasn't really the question. I said, once you receive it, how long would it take?
I don't know. No one has ever asked us that before. And I don't know what the IRS rules are, if I have 3 days or a week or a month or how long. I'm being honest with you, Councilman. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to be honest. This organization's purpose, it sounds great. I've said this at previous meetings. I have no problem with the cleanup, and I have no problem with the organization pulling people together.
Absolutely. You have a problem with me.
I haven't said that. You said that.
You do. I know you do.
Why?
And that's okay.
Why would I have a problem
You
with
are
you?
opposed to my opinions and my posting political
Have I ever
comments.
expressed a displeasure with you?
Not to me, but to other
He's
people.
asking me the question. Okay, but drop it at that.
Yes.
He brought it up first.
I
Yes,
apologize, Councilman Carroll.
Councilman Segura, can you please stay on the topic at hand, which is
I
the
was-
cleanup
I
or
was on
the
that
event?
topic when he came at me, so I was just responding out of response, but okay. So I have no problems, as I stated, about the cleanup. It's just the use of city facilities and properties for this purpose is where I have the concerns, not knowing anything about this organization and its true functioning.
The use of city properties that we rent and pay for. They're not donated by the city. The pavilions that we have for our cleanup day luncheon, which is what the public gathering permit is for, not the cleanup day. We don't need a public gathering permit to disperse volunteers across the city. We want a public gathering permit so that people can reconvene and enjoy a thank you lunch for going out there and spending part of their Saturday cleaning up Kenner. How can you be against that, regardless of whether it's me or 50 people or 500 people? You should encourage that. You have in the past.
That's exactly right. I have encouraged it. At every meeting up to this day, I've encouraged it, and I'm still encouraging it, even though I'm going to be chastised for responding to your accusation that I may or may not be. But the use of the city facilities is what is a concern here for us to vote on if we don't understand where the monies from the organization is properly being used for and where it's going. And that is the purpose of trying to get from you that information.
Well, the reality
you-
is,
wait.
the reality is, Councilman, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We filed a public gathering permit as a matter of procedure. According to Parks and Recreation, because we have rented 2 pavilions, we're entitled to have 99 people or less at each pavilion area. So being under the 100-person threshold does not require a public gathering permit. But if I'm required to have someone stand out there with a clicker and say, we have 90 people in this pavilion, 50 people in this one, so you all have to eat over here, then that's what I will do.
Sure.
People, how many volunteers did you have for the first year, approximately the second year, and do you have any idea of what you're anticipating?
The first cleanup Kenner Day, we had well over 200. The second cleanup Kenner Day, we had probably over 300. We had less than 100 return shirts, and we printed 500 of them.
And the volunteer, I mean, do you have any idea what you're anticipating for this year?
No, we're going to print 500 shirts
I
again.
didn't know if anybody contacted you ahead of time or anything.
No,
just
not at all. No one on the council has contacted me, nor the mayor, in the last month about this.
So that's not what I mean. I'm talking about volunteers.
Oh, yeah, we've had people that have emailed us and wanted to pre-register, absolutely.
But you don't, I mean, at this point, it could be any number.
I've not kept account of that, no.
Thank you.
But getting back to Councilman Segura's point, 500 T-shirts at $6.50 to $8 a piece, what does that add up to? Several $1,000s. That's where the bulk of our sponsorship money goes.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Councilman Brennan, do you have any, are you, okay, Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Madam President. I just had a few questions. I just wanted to recap some of the things that we've already discussed, apparently. Some of them we have and some we haven't. How many years has Kenner United performed this cleanup day?
We were formed in early 2018. Our first cleanup day was in the spring of 2018. Our second one was in the fall, last October.
Okay, and you had it, sounds like a very good participation. If you had all those hundreds of shirts printed up and you gave them all out to
Almost all of them, yes.
volunteers. I personally saw the boxes and boxes of shirts. It's incredible, the amount of shirts. And I know they all pretty much go out. You have people going out picking up trash throughout the city.
And you attended both cleanup days, and we appreciate your support.
And just, I knew an issue that popped up was, and you corrected it, I understand, that the mayor had an issue, and you corrected that. Is that correct?
Yes. Immediately when I was told it was an issue, even though I don't think it should have been an issue.
And you have insurance, is that correct?
Absolutely.
And you pay for that insurance for this day, for this event, is that correct?
Absolutely. As I mentioned, I paid for it with a personal debit card.
Okay.
That was a requirement of getting the public gathering permit turned in.
And Kenner United is in good standings, is that correct?
Absolutely.
So it can function legally?
Yes.
Okay. The primary goal for the event is to pick up trash throughout the city, is that correct?
Right, and bring the community together.
It all sounds like you have things in order. It sounds like it's got a great purpose for the city. So thank you for coming here and explaining some of these issues some of the council persons have had. Thank you.
I appreciate that. As I said, the council has supported our efforts in the past.
Okay, if you have any other comments you want to make at this point?
I'd actually like to show some photos, if I could, and I don't know whether KTV can zoom in. Councilman Carroll can certainly pass these out when I'm done. The first photo is a photo of last year's Clean Up Kenner Day. It's a little dark, I apologize. It's on our Facebook page. We have dozens of pictures of volunteers out there smiling and happy to be able to do their part to help the city of Kenner. In this photo, on the left-hand side, the handsome guy with the cane is me. Next to me is the not quite as handsome Mayor Zahn, who is smiling. Next to him is Councilman Carroll. Next to Councilman Carroll is Councilwoman McKinney and 3 other members of Kenner United. Now, there's a comment on here from the mother of the couple that is in the picture. And the comment says, "Proud of my daughter and son-in-law for being active in our community." That's what Clean Up Kenner Day is about. Here's another picture from last year's Clean Up Kenner Day. I don't want to single out Councilwoman McKinney, but it's a photo of her and her husband and one of her children.
It's the best looking picture there.
And the reason I brought it is because I think it's a great photo. Again, not to butter you up or single you out. Now, here's a photo from the first Clean Up Kenner Day where we are wearing yellow shirts, by the way. We wore green at the last event. And in this photo, in the center of the picture, holding the sign that promotes the event, is Mayor Zahn. Also in the photo behind him is Councilman Wilmot. Councilwoman McKinney, who was not a member of the council then, is in the picture, as is former Councilwoman Maria DeFrancis. And I'm in there as well, in the back. You can all take a look at these. As I said, you all have supported this in the past. I don't understand why you would not support it, our efforts going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Hayes.
Good morning. How you doing?
How you doing, Councilman?
We go back a long way.
Yes.
And that goes back to the Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely.
When I was president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, I formed the foundation for the chamber that's still in place today. And we have over 1,000 members still with the Chamber of Commerce. I think one thing that, Walt, that may be able to clear up a lot of these questions is if you would release your financials. As you remember, we proactively released our financials because, again, we were soliciting funds from some of the major companies in the city here of Kenner and also Jefferson Parish and elsewhere. So I think that would really help. If you have financials, even online, you probably should release them. So that's my recommendation to clear up some of these questions.
I appreciate that, Councilman. The reality is there shouldn't be any questions, as I don't believe there are questions of other nonprofit groups that
We
come before this body.
proactively released financials from the chamber so they wouldn't be questioned.
You did, yes, but not every group does that.
Again, we hope members of the chamber follow the chamber rules. And again, it's just good public relations. When you go solicit funds from an individual or from a business, everybody should have an understanding what those funds are for and who they benefit, and you would clear up so much by just releasing financials.
Anyone is absolutely free to send us a letter, and we will release our statements after they're redacted. If you'd like me to post them on my new website, jeffparrishnews.com, I certainly will.
I think you should. I think it would clear up a lot of, don't wait for people to send you a letter asking for your financials. You would collect a lot more money if you proactively.
Well, we're not interested in collecting a lot of money. We're
It sounds
interested in
like you are. If
covering
you're
our
putting
expenses.
expenses on your debit card, sounds like you should be in the business of collecting money. So that's all my suggestion is.
Well, our group was formed, like I said, to provide a public benefit to the people of Kenner. It wasn't designed to raise money. We don't contribute to political organizations or campaigns. We don't endorse candidates. We're apolitical completely.
And when we were at the chamber, we also formed a PAC, just so we would keep activities totally separate. And I never did attend a PAC meeting as president of the chamber. It was totally separate. So that's also a good practice.
Well, we don't want to form a PAC. We don't want to be political in any way.
I hear you, but again, make it clear. Thank you,
I
ma'am.
thought we were. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hayes. Mayor Zahn?
Just for the record, Councilman Wilmot made a comment that I had an issue with it at the 2 council meetings ago. We had gotten some inquiries on what Mr. Benetti has cleared up. So just for the record, that was me presenting it to the council, and since I don't get a vote, that was the council voting that way, 7-0, to defer it. I don't have a red or green button in front of me, so we just declare that up. I did not, I brought a packet to you all out of the concern of someone bringing it to you. Did I support that? Absolutely. And as for the pictures, yes, we are very supportive of very many nonprofits. We're supportive of a lot of groups that do good work. You're going back 2 years ago, after it was made clear that Kenner United symbol was being used for political positions, whether you deny it or agree with it, it was being used. It's not appropriate. If it's not an issue for you, it's an issue for the citizens of the city of Kenner. It's an issue for my office. I believe it was an issue for 7 council members that voted the same way. When these things started popping up and your political stances with the Kenner United logo led to, between those 2 weeks, not to mention the text message that you sent me during the council meeting, and also the text message you sent me later on that evening when I was in a movie theater at 7:30 at night on a Friday night to tell me, almost threatening text of, and I'll quote, "Do you really want to open up that can of worms?" Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with someone who sends that text message to the mayor or any elected official at nighttime. Do you really want to open up this can of worms?
I was waiting for you to return to
I thought I
me,
had the
which you said
floor.
you would do.
I thought I had the floor. Do I?
Yes.
Thank you. So, in that text message, you also brought up, it's no different that this council, I have not shared this with this council, but I'll share it now. It's no different than us putting political signs up in our capacity as mayor, chief of police, or councilman at large, councilman of a district, at a school fair. I disagree, because that school fair is not using or taking a position politically with a nonprofit.
Nor is Kenner United.
You did. You did on your personal Facebook page. Is this going to continue that I get interrupted? It's up to you, because if it's going to continue, I'm just going to, I'll
Mr.
sit
Bernetti,
back and
please
wait.
let,
I will sit down if that's okay with the council.
okay.
I don't think he's finished. I see a few more names up on your screen.
Yes, Mr. Benetti, we do have a couple of additional questions, but when the mayor's finished.
So with those comments that have been made through text messages that the public is not privy to until these things pop up, yes, more things have led to that. Your sponsors that you think are very supportive of you have now had questions. We have spoken to some of your sponsors. Some of your sponsors, per them, to me, in a phone conversation, and possibly Councilman Segura, I'll let him deal with that, have told me that they thought it was an event that was sponsored by the city of Kenner and that you had some capacity, some type of role in city of Kenner government. I made that clear yesterday to one of them, and I'm not here to name their names, but you know who they are, because that one sponsor also said that they would like you to come and clean Lake Town after they give you $1,000, not a sponsorship, $1,000 sponsorship, cash check, whatever it is. After they've given you that, they have requested you to come to a certain area, a public area, not a private area, and they never hear back from you. So that is a problem. So as he stands there and tries to say this is the mayor's office and, you know, the chief didn't get picked on, but also the council that is on a, basically, he may not have said a headhunt, but going after him for some other reasons, look, I'm just doing my due diligence. And I think this council has done its due diligence. So by asking questions and not getting the answers, and I guess my question is, why won't you give us your financials without having to go through a process? That's kind of hard for him to answer from sitting down underneath the flag.
Do you want to yield?
It's a question,
Yes.
yes.
Um,
It's a simple why he won't do it.
Mr. Benetti, can you approach, please?
The answer to your question, Mayor Zahn, is no one has asked us for those. And if you would have asked us for that a month ago, we would have provided that. I would have brought
Well,
it to.
in the middle of sending me all these text messages on a Friday night, why wouldn't you just say, do you need my financials? Instead of taking the antagonistic
Financials were
approach.
never an issue. They were never brought up.
Mr. Benetti,
Instead
let
of
him.
taking the usual antagonistic approach to everything that you do in your life, why don't you just go ahead and say, hey, how can I work with y'all to make sure that this works? You have not been here for a month. Now you're coming here and asking this council to approve something. If I need to go on the record with Councilman Segura, I don't approve of it. I don't approve of something going on where we have major vendors, a major vendor in the city of Kenner, and other businesses that are major sponsors that now are putting question marks over this group. That one person holds, 4 positions, Councilman Segura? One person holds 4 positions. One of you asked me in the agenda meeting, if it was a certain school and a certain person, would we be doing this? Absolutely, if there was question marks over them. This is why you're the Kenner City Council. You're the legislative branch. Your job is to approve things that don't have questions on it, that is good for the citizens of Kenner. I think this has some issues. No one's asked me my opinion. I'm just going to go ahead and state it. I have issues with it after having done some questions out there and people actually picking up the phone making comments about this. This all started because you had to put Kenner United's symbol on a Facebook page. Why did we never notice it before? Because you know what? This might burst your bubble. I don't care about your Facebook page. I don't look at your Facebook page until it's presented to me in a packet that Councilman Segura and every councilman has. It's not relevant enough to look at. So don't stand there and make this council, this administration, everybody who does good government work every day look like we're the bad guys because we didn't do our due diligence. You accuse us of not doing due diligence, now we're trying to do it, and now they're the bad guys along with me. This is a circus. This is a circus to continue to go on with this. It is what it is. Legislative branch, but today you're the judge. You got to make a decision. You got to make a decision whether or not this administration supports this. Never asked y'all to do anything that's questionable, but I think all the things that Councilman Segura brought up and to end this charade that continues to go on is up to you today.
Thank you, Mayor Zahn. Councilman Carroll.
I can let are we still in a public hearing? No, well, I
Still
can go
discussion.
after the people. I can hear what they have to say, then I can go then. I'll wait.
Oh, there are other council people who also want to speak. Councilman,
Oh,
you'll wait and, okay, Council, or Mr. Benetti, if Mr. Benetti or Mr. Brown or Ms. Molina would like to speak.
I appreciate your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, please approach, state your full name and address for the record.
Good idea.
Thank you, Madam President. Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner. This is outrageous, and it is a circus, but it's a circus because 2 or 3 people are trying to turn it into one. I've been attending council member meetings and watching them on KTV and now online for almost 20 years, over 15 years. Used to attend almost every one. If I don't attend one, I watch it. I have never seen anybody who's applied for a public gathering permit be subjected to this. I mean, if I recall, I think at the last council meeting, you approved a permit to let Popeyes have a public gathering at Veterans Park.
That's on this agenda.
What's actually pending here is, it may not have been Popeyes, and it may have been more than a meeting ago, but it was some business. This is simply an application for a public gathering permit at the pavilions in Kenner Veterans Park, where Mr. Benetti has already rented the pavilion, or if I just heard him say 2 of them, he doesn't even need the public gathering permit unless there's over 100 people. This is not a permit to conduct the cleanup day. This is simply a permit to have more than 100 people at the after cleanup party, at the picnic at Kenner Veterans Park after the cleanup, to serve the people food and drinks. That's what this is an application for, and he's being subjected